It's that time again right here on Philadelphia 76ers Now, in which we open up the floor and we take your questions from all of our real ones and loyal subscribers here on the program as we talk draft, free agency, looking ahead for what is a monumental offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers. We continue also to make up ground on the Miami Heat report in our May sub-battle. Just a little bit of a competition here in the doldrums of the calendar year before things really start to heat up on the NBA calendar. Miami Heat report, 358 subscribers this month so far, and since May 1, we've picked up 314. We're trailing right now, but the good news is we can get that victory if you hit that sub button, just like the Sixers got the dub over Miami in the NBA play-in game. Kappa Man starting us off with this one right here. Donovan Mitchell, a hard pass. 6'2", 6'3" backcourt, way too small. We need a 4 who can rebound and score as a second or third option. Lauri Markkanen or Kevin Durant trade would get us a championship. The free agency market isn't the best besides the GOAT. I imagine he's talking about LeBron James, OG Anunoby, maybe PG-13. We've talked about a lot of those other players here on the show. We haven't yet really expanded our thoughts on Lauri Markkanen since kind of the NBA trade deadline when we talked about him as a potential acquisition to pair him up in that front court alongside Joel Embiid. And a lot of Sixers fans are with you, that they think that Lauri Markkanen could be the answer for Philadelphia this year. He is only making $17 million on his deal for the 2024-2025 season. And you look at his growth, you look at his development, how he's ascended, how he's taken off, how he's gotten better, and what he would bring Philadelphia here. Starts his career with the Bulls, goes to the Cavs, and then he goes to the Utah Jazz, and that's really where he's found his stride. 2 years ago, 25.5 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 50% from the floor, 39% from three. So he could score at all three levels, stretch the floor a little bit. He can make plays happen off the bounce. I think that's an underrated part of his game. And then this past year, once again, really, really good. Numbers very identical to what he did in that 22-23 season. 23 points per game, 8 rebounds, 48% from the floor, damn near 40% from three-point range. Here's my concern, though. In addition to what the Jazz's asking price is going to be, 4+ first-round picks for Lauri Markkanen, who's running basketball ops for Utah? Danny Ainge. And Danny Ainge pretty much forced Philadelphia, without even being with the Celtics any longer, after he fleeced Philadelphia in that Markelle Fultz Jason Tatum trade, to overpay for Paul Reed by signing Paul Reed to that offer sheet. I just don't see in a world how Danny Ainge, even though they're in different conferences, is going to trade Lauri Markkanen to Philadelphia. Plus, Philadelphia doesn't really have the draft compensation to get Lauri Markkanen, unfortunately. As for Kevin Durant, he's an older player, so I'm not sure the asking price is going to be 4 first-round picks. It's going to be steep. But KD, like LeBron this past year, once again, very efficient. 27 points per game, 52% from the floor, 41% from three. This was with KD being unhappy in Phoenix and with his role under Frank Vogel. Despite his age, Kevin Durant remains a top scorer. And again, everybody in the comment section has been saying, we don't want old players. It's going to cost us down the road. These are short-term deals for these older players potentially, or if you inherit an older player via a trade like Kevin Durant, you're trying to go all in this year and next year. That's really it. You're trying to compete for a championship in this 2-year window, maybe 3-year window. The good thing about those old players, Maxey's still going to be young, right? And if those older players end up moving on, or they have to retire, or it doesn't work out, it doesn't cost you long-term because you're not signing them to a long-term deal. Now, Paul George, LeBron James, that's a different story. But I don't think LeBron James is going to demand a 5-year deal. I think it's going to be like a 2-year deal if he decides to opt out. PG-13, obviously, would probably be a 4 or 5 year max. Javier Ortiz, give them some pieces to build around, like Mikal Bridges, Brandon Ingram, and so forth. I love Bridges. I'm lukewarm on Ingram because I do think that a player's makeup, personality has to be factored in here when they're playing in the pressure cooker of Philadelphia. Look at Tobias Harris. I'll use that as an example. He's going to go somewhere in free agency. There's going to be no pressure on him. He's going to be able to average 20 points per game, 45% from the field, 40% from three. But he was not made out for Philadelphia. I worry about Brandon Ingram being a little bit too passive because it didn't work out in Los Angeles. If it doesn't work out in Los Angeles and you're feeling the pressure there, I'm sorry. The hype in Philadelphia, the pressure in Philadelphia is going to be ratcheted up because the Northeast is a completely different fan atmosphere and lifestyle as compared to out in LA. Bridges knows what it takes because he's from the Philadelphia area. He played his high school ball at Great Valley. He played at Villanova. Plus, I think the fit of Bridges is a lot better than any of these other players. He might be the most perfect fit among all players that we've talked about this offseason. Good defensively, good offensively. He's not going to be too high maintenance as far as demanding the ball. So I'm all in on the Bridges train. Let's bring in producer Chip. You talk Ingram, you talk Bridges, you think about the question that we were asked. Any other thoughts that you have?
Yeah, I think they're two very similar players to me, not in terms of play style, but in terms of where they sort of rank in the Sixers offseason plans. You know, I think at the top, you got your LeBron James, your Kevin Durant's, right? Even Paul George, I might put a little bit above both of those guys, just in terms of straight talent.
Yeah.
I feel like Ingram, Bridges, two similar players in terms of how they're perceived, but Bridges obviously gives you that two-way ability. Nova kid. What have we seen all these Nova players doing in the playoffs? They just win, baby. Yeah. They just win, baby. And I think Bridges would be a player that, you know, Ingram is going to need the ball in his hands a little bit more to score. Bridges, not so much. Bridges will be a better defender. Ingram, not horrible defensively. He has the tools with his insane length to be a better defender than he is. Doesn't always give 100% effort there. Ingram has a little bit of injury history. Mikal Bridges has played 82 games this past season, actually played 83 games last season because he got traded and had to play an extra game because of the trade. So he's like an Iron Man of sorts. I love the idea of Mikal Bridges on this team. And if you can get one of them, again, I'm definitely going with Bridges.
As a guy who grew up in the Philadelphia area and who always rooted on for whichever Philly team was in the NCAA tournament, whether it be Penn, Drexel, LaSalle, Temple, St. Joe's, Villanova, as part of the City Six and Big Five, makes me sick that the Knicks here are thriving with all of these Villanova legends, and the Sixers drafted one in Mikal Bridges and then traded him away. Right your wrongs, bring him to Philadelphia. Choose one, Bridges type MB, BI, Brandon Ingram. Ingram more of the scorer, Bridges more of the two-way player. Let us know down in the comments section here. Dynasty one. Love the profile picture too, my guy. Although, is that a New York Knicks hat? Yankees? All right, we'll let it fly because you're watching the show, you're supporting us, but I don't like the Yankees either. I'm still not over the 2009 World Series. I wish we could somehow get Alex Caruso from the Bulls. I'll tell you this, Alex Caruso would be a perfect fit next to Tyrese Maxey. Can hit the three, can run the point, comfortable playing off ball, can knock down the three, championship pedigree, championship level player. He makes championship winning plays. Look at what he did this past year for the Chicago Bulls. Been durable too, up until he got hurt in the NBA play-in tournament with that ankle injury, I believe. 10 points per game, almost 47% from the deck, 41% from three, but he's so savvy on the defensive end. And him being the perfect fit next to Maxey, I think would be terrific, right? And then you find a way to bring in a wing like Mikal Bridges. Can you imagine a starting five which features, and we're not sure what that four would be, Tyrese Maxey, Alex Caruso, Mikal Bridges, Joel Embiid, and let's say Nick Batum on the vet min, Kelly Oubre? I mean, F me up, fam. Caruso entering the last year of his contract at $9.8 million. If he were a free agent, I think he'd demand $15 million because teams know how valuable he is, and that's why going into the deadline, all those teams were calling, but the Bulls decided to run it back and continue to be very average. Kevin Washington, get Malik Monk, perfect fit for the Sixers as well. So how about this? Caruso in the backcourt, Mikal Bridges in that starting five, and then your flamethrower off the bench, Malik Monk. Daryl Morey, make it happen. You have the money, most cap space in the NBA, and Monk's another one of those players who, coming out of Kentucky, a lot of expectations with the Hornets, didn't live up to those expectations, but the last 4 years, he's really started to live up to the hype where he's improved his three-point shot, he's improved his off-ball game, he's improved his offensive arsenal in general, and those three-point numbers pretty solid with volume. This past year, 72 games played, 15.5 points, 5 assists, 44% from the field, 35% from three. Ideally, you'd like to see those three-point numbers return to what he did in 2021, 2022, and in 2020, 2021, when he was hovering around 39%, 40%. It's interesting to think about what a Malik Monk contract would look like because it's going to come down to this. Does he want to win? Does he want to have a role on a championship team? Or does he want to chase a bag? Because a team will be willing to overpay for Malik Monk because they know he has that offensive talent. And the Kings, they struggled a little bit without Malik Monk. The Kings are in a financial crunch. CBA rules limit what they can give Monk. The projected max starting salary they can offer, $17.4 million, translating into a 4-year, $78 million contract nearly. Max long-term offer if extended out with maximum allowable raises. There's fear that a team with plenty of cap room, knowing these constraints, will swoop in with a similar long-term offer in the $100 million range. That could be too lucrative for Monk to decline. He's 26, nearly out of the league a couple of years ago, and that's that developmental and growth story that I was referring to. I like Malik Monk as a fit. Chip, $25 million a year for Malik Monk, that might be a little bit too pricey for me.
Yeah, look, as you said, it's going to come down to what teams are going after Monk, and will those teams be willing to offer him that max of 4 years, $100 million? Look, for me, his ideal role is coming off the bench. Now, he might want to get paid like a starter. $25 million is certainly not coming off the bench money.
Right.
And I love his game. I love the improvements he's made, specifically in his playmaking.
Yep.
He's sort of taken over when Fox has been out of the game for the Kings. He's been able to be that point guard role of sorts and run the offense, something that when he was with the Hornets and with the Lakers, he wasn't really able to do at all. So I love his game, and I do like the fit that he provides for the Sixers. Not at $25 million, though. I think $20 million a year is probably the most I'd be willing to go. If another team, a bad team, offers him 25 and the Sixers offer him 20 or 18, and Malik says, you know what, I'm taking the money, I don't care about competing for a title, so be it. But, you know, as you said, if he wants to win and win at the highest levels and still make more money than he can make with the Kings, Sixers could offer him that potential opportunity this offseason.
The money's in the bank for Philadelphia, but then how does that affect building out the rest of your roster? Be sure to subscribe, never miss a video, turn on those notifications for videos and coverage year long. I think Chip and I do a great job here on 76ers Now. Obviously, we're confident in our abilities, but you look at the product compared to what other people are doing on YouTube. There are great content creators. You should watch and support them as well, but we love what we do. We hope you do as well. And if you want to continue to be in the know with everything that we do, make sure you hit that sub button. Our goal, 16,000 subscribers. You can see the updated figures here to my right. FPL DJ Hammer with the Pokemon profile picture there brings me back to my childhood. We should definitely ring up Utah and try to get Danny Ainge to part with picks 29 and 32, or both for Paul Reed since he wanted them last year. Those picks could give us nice, cheap contracts if we draft some gems. Look, I'm of the believer that you can get good players in the NBA draft. I don't care where. There are too many good basketball players on this planet to say that you can't draft quality players. Look at what the Knicks have done in building up their roster. Look at Nikola Jokic going in the second round. Draymond Green going in the second round. Jalen Brunson going in the second round. You can find hoopers anywhere because there are hoopers all across the globe. As for Paul Reed, is he worthy of 29 and 32? I don't think so. And I think that Danny Ainge was trying to do a little gamemanship and force Philadelphia to overpay for a player that he liked, but maybe didn't love. 7'6", 54% of block per game. His development has taken a while. I still think that he can become a better player. B-ball Paul out the mud. I'm a big fan. I've supported him. I just don't know if he's worthy of 29 and 32. MMA fights. Don't get in a fight with this dude. Is Maxey or Embiid the franchise player that we should currently build around? Maxey for sure. Embiid, getting a little bit older. I'm frustrated by the injuries. There's no doubt about that. But look at how they operated in the two-man game. And think about if they would have gotten more contributions from a Tobias Harris, who, I'm sorry, fucking killed this team for 5 years. I mean, the guy is making $36 million and went 0 of 2 in a deciding Game 6 after a good Game 5. If they had a better third option, they beat the New York Knicks, in my opinion, in my estimation. They just need more help. But the two-man game, I'm not going to say it's identical to Jokic and Murray, but you have the big, you have the guard, and both can do so many things to impact the game, having their fingerprints in a multitude of areas. You need those two stars. You build out your roster from there. I think that's how you can win a championship. You don't necessarily win that big three. How many big threes have won? Really not that many. Boston Celtics, but Ray Allen had to take major sacrifices. He wasn't the same player off the bounce and scoring-wise that he was with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Miami Heat, the other one, you want to talk about the Golden State Warriors, but those players had to take sacrifices. Like, of course, there are examples of really good teams, but my point is you get those two stars, and then you build up the roster outside of that, whether you go Bridges, who I'm not going to say is a superstar, or if you want to go LeBron James is a superstar, you just need that third guy. The lack of that has killed Philadelphia. And before this year, the lack of a second guy for Embiid has really hurt him. Be sure to give us both a follow on X, @Chase_Senior, @Jake Chipper. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you soon here on the show.